Well, hello. Thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, we are here today to sit down and talk about my favorite fall-themed eyeshadow palettes that I have within my collection. So, these are palettes where I want to try to at least use them one time as we are in the fall season. Now, you guys know I am doing a eyeshadow palette on the chopping block, so those are going to take up majority of my time. But it is going to be nice to just take a break from those and use eyeshadow palettes that I know that I actually enjoy and love. So if I'm not mistaken, I think I did this for the spring and the summer, so I will leave that link down in the description box. But I'm specifically doing this for Ruth. So I saw her put up her version of this for fall and winter palettes that she would like to reach for in those two seasons, and in that she was like saying that she had seen me do it and that was why she was doing it and she hoped that I did it. And basically what I'm getting at is all it takes is for Ruth to ask me to do something and I will do it. So that is why we are here today. So like I said, I believe I have 10 10 fall themed eyeshadow palettes to talk with you guys about. Okay, so let's start with the fall theme palette that Ruth and I both picked out. Like, she had this palette in her video. I'm putting it into my video because she is spot on, dead right, that this is just like the quintessential fall palette. So it is the Be Perfect Stacey Marie Carnival 4 The Antidote palette. Now, when I open this up for you guys, you're going to look at this and you're going to be like, that's large. But yeah, that is a perfect fall themed eyeshadow palette. So I just absolutely love this. I have dug my grubby little paws into this and I just cannot get enough of this. Now, I know for you on camera, some of these shades might look like, did you really need both of those within the palette? And probably not. Like, let's be honest, a 45, is it 45 or 42? It's large, that's all that matters. It probably could have been condensed down, but no shadow in here is an actual true, like, dupe of itself. Like, everything in here has enough of a variety to where it's like, okay, it did make sense that you put in both those matte greens or that you put in both of those matte reds. Like, there is the variety. So like I said, I have just absolutely fallen in love with this palette. It does get to live on my vanity. One, because it is so large, it's hard to store like in my drawer setup that I have. But two, I really do love the formula of this. The mattes are so like nice and smooth and easy to work with, and the shimmer shadows in here are just gorgeous. I'm using this palette and the palette I will talk about next to create today's eye look. So from this palette, I did dip into this suede shade, the clover shade, and the antidote shade, as well as the silvery shimmer shade. So those help make up my eye look, and like I said, I just really enjoy this for the fall time. Alright, so the next fall-themed eyeshadow palette that we will talk about is the palette that I use in combination with the Be Perfect palette to create this eye look today. So this is from Glamlight. This is the Dirty Martini palette. This came out with their Happy Hour collection, which I think is approaching about a year old, if I'm not mistaken. So this is what this palette looks like on the inside. I love that this is a green themed eyeshadow palette. I won't say that it's like a monochromatic green eyeshadow palette because you do have some nice blue shades in here, and then some of these shimmer shades, like this one is more of a peachy, this one's more blue, this one is like an interesting kind of bronzy green shimmer. It's just really pretty and really fun to play with. So in this eye look today, I did use Garnish, Extra Dry, Olive Lover, and Dry Vermouth. I don't know if I said that last one right, but I did use all four of those shadows in today's eye look. So again, it's just really pretty and I have enjoyed this. I really do appreciate the Glamlight formula. I think that, again, they're just a really nice formula. Alright, let's talk about an oldie but a goodie. I don't remember when this palette launched, and I really don't remember if it got good reviews, but I feel like this is a slept-on palette, and it's one that I actually do enjoy. So, it is from Urban Decay. This is their Naked Wild West palette. If I open this up, this is what it looks like on the inside. I think you can see why this screams fall. It goes very dark down here, and you've got these nice red tones and blue tones. I know the ring light is kind of making the packaging on here a little bit like washed out, like shiny, and I do apologize for that. But then you do have some nice kind of like softer shadows up here. Now I will say, I don't think you needed all three of these matte shades that start out the palette. I do feel like that's a little bit samey, But overall, I really do like the quality of this, and I love that it does go from really light to really dark. This blue shadow down here, this matte blue, I feel like sometimes when we get those types of shades within palettes, they can be a little bit fussy, like a little bit difficult to work with, but I've never had a problem working with the matte blue shade from within this palette. It's been very easy and effortless to work with. It blends out very nicely, and I do like that with this palette, you don't have to start out with the darkest shade for it to retain that darkness and that depth. You can build these matte shadows on top of each other, which is nice. All right, you know Haley couldn't do a video without including BH Cosmetics, so I actually have 3 BH Cosmetics palettes that they just give me fall vibes, and it makes me so happy. So the first one is the Optimistic AF palette. I guess our audience member is over our shenanigans, so he is leaving. But anyway, this is what Optimistic AF looks like on the inside. Again, I'm trying to see, maybe if we hold it here. I just absolutely love this color story. I feel like this is such a well done curated palette. You've got these great like orangey tones, you've got these great yellows, you've got these great like brown shades that lean on the like orangey yellow side. And then this dark shade here is one of those kind of like berry plummy brown shades. Everything in here just pairs so nicely together. I absolutely love this LOL shade down here. So it's kind of like this peachy orange red shimmer shade. It's just so pretty. This palette gives me like, it just looks like when the leaves change, you know what I mean? Like I live in a part of the country where the leaves do change. It's very much like the best time of year in my opinion, and so when I open this palette, that's exactly what I think of. Okay, so then the next two are 2 palettes that come from the Sweet Shop collection. So I have the Orange Sherbet and the Cherry on Top. I will just talk about them together because I really foresee myself pairing these 2 palettes together during this season to get some really pretty eye looks out of them. Now, I do like these palettes on their own, you know, but together, oh, does that not just look so pretty? Like a bunch of nice reddish tones and orangey tones. Now, I will say this Wild Cherry shade from within the Cherry on Top palette does tend to pull a little bit more of a pink tone on me personally, but the Tarte shade is a little bit more of like a true red, and then this Sprinkle shade down here is like a red-based brown, which is really pretty. I love that it goes from, again, really light to really dark, but I just feel like the orange palette is going to pair so nicely with this and vice versa. Like I really do love like pairing some of these pinky shades with some of these oranges, and I feel like these oranges are going to pair really nicely not only with the reds but especially this darker red brown shade down here to really give me the depth that I want, because I do feel like that's the one thing missing from the Orange Sherbet palette. You do have this brown down here, but it's very much of a orange based brown, and so it doesn't go as dark as I would like for it to. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to pulling these out and pairing them together. Okay, so let's talk about a ColourPop palette. If you guys have been here for any length amount of time, you know which palette I'm probably going to pull out to say is a essential fall palette for me. So this is the Sonic Bloom palette. I feel like this palette got slept on for some reason. I don't know if it was because it was released, if I'm not mistaken, on the Tales of Lush Life, and that one just had such glowing reviews. Like, I don't know. But either way, this is a really great palette, and the background, I'm sorry, is super reflective, so maybe if I hold it here, you can get a good representation of it. I am the type of person, I love berry eyeshadow like all time of year. Like for me, that is my safety net. Like, you know how I guess typically people feel like maybe browns are like the neutral safety net kind of shadow. For me, it's berries. Like berries are my safety net. Those are my neutral type eyeshadows. So I can rock those all year round, but especially in the fall time, I am just so drawn into wearing berry eyeshadows. And I absolutely love that within this palette, you do have this really great berry matte shade, but you've also got a great berry shimmer shade. So it's really easy to come into this palette and pair those two together, have a really simple, like effortless, but well done eye look. And you can do that actually with a lot of the shadows within here. Like this darker kind of brownish shade, it's like a plummy brown shade, but it pairs really nicely with the shimmer that's above it. And then this kind of like reddish shade, on me it always pulls a little bit more orange, but I'm not mad at that. I still really enjoy it, but it pairs nicely with this shimmer shadow. So this palette is just really well, like thoughtfully laid out, and it's easy to come to and make really pretty eye looks. And I have to say, I'm really appreciative and like pleasantly surprised that the matte shadows like down here in this bottom row, like what you see is what you get. When you put these on your eyes, like that is the color payoff that you are getting. You are not going to have to dip your brush in a second or a third time to really build those up and get them to look how they look in the pan. Like they are just that like nice and rich off of the first dip. Okay, so I do have to apologize. I have my camera settings set to like track your eye to keep you in focus, and I know that I look away from the camera a lot, but I have a hard time maintaining eye contact in real life, and I think of the camera as, you know, eye contact. Either way, 3 more palettes to go over you guys with. So, of course, Natasha Denona Retro has to make an appearance in this video. I literally just got done telling you how berry toned eyeshadows are my absolute favorite for, you know, especially the fall time. And that is exactly what you get from this palette. I have just absolutely fallen in love with this. I do have to say, I think this is my favorite, hands down, Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. I could really see myself just like laying in heavy and like actually panning this palette to completion. Like that's just how much I do enjoy this. I do already have 4 pans within this palette, so I feel like it was a really great purchase, in my opinion, like for myself. But yeah, I have seen her new eyeshadow palette that she's come out with, the what is it, the My Dream collection. And at first, like that palette really did suck me in, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get it. But the more I like looked at it, I was like, you know, all of the shadows from within that palette that are really drawing you in, like you have them within this retro palette. Let me know if you feel that way too, like if you think like they're a little bit samey. I've heard some people say that they feel like it's just a smash up between the retro and the glam palette. But either way, we're here to talk about fall themed eyeshadow palettes, so just know retro is one that I'm going to be pulling out to use this fall. Okay, an oldie but a goodie. Unfortunately, I think this palette has been discontinued. So this is the Menagerie Killer Purr palette. Now, Menagerie does sell singles, so I'm not sure. Maybe you could like get the shadows from this palette as singles. I don't know. But I do think that this palette as a whole has been discontinued. Now, I will draw your attention right away to these 2 shadows. So I ordered a repurchase shade of Antelope. This was a shadow that was in the Killer Purr palette, and I had finished it off, but I really enjoyed it, so I ordered that as a replacement. And then the 2 shimmer shades that were within this palette were really dark, like bronzy shimmer shades, and I just didn't like them. So I did keep Prowl up here, but Lioness I switched out for a green shimmer from Menagerie, but they now sell their singles as circle pans. So I was just lazy and didn't feel like repressing them, so I just popped them down into the square pans. But I just wanted to explain that because I'm sure some of you are like, why are there circle pans in your palette? But either way, I think that by looking at this, you can tell like this is just a great kind of more play it safe almost colorful palette. Like I feel like this one has a lot of those like grounding neutral shades. So you've got Chase here, which is like a light pink shade. It's really nice to help blend out those darker colors. And then you've got Drought. Again, it's really nice to blend out some of the more red shades. But Cub and Maine are just those great like kind of mustard type shades that I feel like fall into that neutral family. So for Menagerie, I feel like this was one of their more neutral palettes. Really well done. I really do like the formula, and I do really enjoy pulling this palette out. It's a great all year round palette, but again, it's those like mustards and reds and things like that that really make this scream fall for me. Okay, so the final palette to talk about, and again, this was in no particular order, it was just the way that they were stacked. So this is from Unearthly Cosmetics. I always want to call them Alien Cosmetics because that was their name prior to their rebrand. I'm not sure exactly why they had to rebrand, but they did, so they are now Unearthly. So this is the Lure palette, and oh, I just love this. You can tell right off the bat why. It's got the nice oranges and the berries, but specifically, I really love these top 2 pink shadows for like all year round, but they're really pretty in the fall, and they are a little bit of like kind of like shifty shades. I don't know, I can never get that to, you know, translate in on camera, but just trust me, they are really pretty, really shifty. And then this green down here is a really nice green shadow. So I really do enjoy this particular palette. I think that the shimmer formula in this is really impactful, really punchy, like vibrant on your face. And then the mattes within this palette have been really nice to work with and easy to like blend out. The black down here is a really nice, very pigmented black eyeshadow. I just feel like for a 9-pan palette, the color story of this is really well done. So that is it. That is all 10 of my fall eyeshadow palettes that I really want to strive to reach for this time of year. And I have to say, I'm just now thinking about it, what more perfect shirt could I have worn to do this video? So either way, let me know down below what your top fall eyeshadow palettes are. What are the ones that you are dying to reach for as we are in this season? I thank you guys so much for sticking around and making it till the end of the video. And I hope you're having a good day, a good night, or a good whatever. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.